bulletin and it's in green. I would just like to thank and offer gratitude for all the staff of the BBS, for those who volunteered, for the teachers, the staff, especially give thanks to our BBS director, Tim and Beth, who worked hard and tirelessly and did a wonderful job. The BBS, the children, there was about 27 to 28 of them, and they raised about 218 and 70 something cents. All right, to give to Haiti. So not only was BBS a time when the children were taught how to live the Christian life, but they actually gave. They participated in the Christian life. And the best way to learn something is not to hear it alone, but to hear it and do it. And so this was a great time. It was a great week. And since it was BBS, and since the focus was on children, and as the sheet says in the bottom, there is a quote that says, no matter how small or how big, the things you do for kids are important. And that is a truth that we all know, but we sometimes forget. That is a truth that we know deep in our hearts, and sometimes the things we know in our hearts, they take a while to get to our heads, and sometimes we forget it. We get so stressed out about being an adult and the cares of being an adult that we forget that we have to attend to, take care of, and focus on kids, children, because what we do for them, small or big, counts. And so I wanted to focus in this gospel passage, in the Gospel of Mark, on something that Jesus said. And there's the title. And one of the things is what I would like to call God's economy. Now, economy in Greek does not mean business. It doesn't mean buy or sell. What economy means is the law of the household. The law of the house. So God's economy is God's law of how you deal with the house, the children. But God's economy is also noticed, is interesting to me because what Jesus says is so powerful. In our passage, the disciples are arguing amongst themselves like children. They are arguing who is the greatest. So I'm sure one of them says, I'm the tallest, I must be the greatest. Another one says, I've known him the longest. Another one says, I gave up my roast beef sandwich. I gave up my roast beef sandwich. Another one says, they're arguing who is the greatest. And like children, they know that this is probably not something they should do around the teacher. So when Jesus shows up, they shut up. They stay quiet. And Jesus then tells them, if you want to be great, you have to be like the least of these. This is a strange economy. It does not fit with the economy of our time. The economy of our time is best summed up by how Jesus once described it in another passage, where he says, those who have shall be given more, and those who have little, the little they have shall be taken away. This truth is verified at the banks every day. If you don't have enough money in your checking account and you make a check, guess what? You're going to be charged. So even when you have no money, the little money that you don't have will be taken away from you anyways. That's probably the most truest statement Jesus made on society, period, and it's still true today. That's social economy. God's economy is different. If you want to be great, you have to be like the least of these. You have to serve. And that may not seem to make sense, but it makes a lot of sense when you really think about it. If you want to be great at piano, you must be the servant, the slave of the piano. When it says get up and practice, you must get up and practice. It doesn't matter if all the kids are on the beach. You have to practice. If you want to be great in anything, you must be the servant of whatever it is you want to be great at. It requires energy and time. It makes a certain spiritual sense. But what Jesus does is very powerful. He takes a little child, and we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and the child, we don't really know how old or how young. Takes the child and stands the child in front of them. This is powerful because children at the time of Jesus is also true at the time of our time now. Children just aren't seen in society. You don't see them. They're silent. They should be silent. If in church, if a child starts talking, what do? We try to get them out. We get upset with the adult if they don't do anything about the child. be there because their presence may disrupt. Right? They are invisible. What Jesus does in this conversation about greatness is that he takes a child who was probably standing right there all alone, and the disciples did not see the child. That's how it works. He takes the child, puts the child in front, holds the child. The word says he takes, he receives. And the word for receive is very, very deep. It means hold in your hands, but it also means take as part of yourself. Be hospitable, make part of your own, instruct. He took the child in his arms, and the word placed on taking him in his arms is as if he's saying, I take this child as myself. And he says, whoever receives a child such as this in my name doesn't just receive the child, he receives me. And whoever receives me doesn't just receive me, receive the one who sent me. Now this is God's economy, where it's a 2-for-1. Matter of fact, it's a 3-for-1. Oh, praise God for Macy's sales. Macy's sales, 2-for-1. How everyone loves sales like that. That is a spiritual thing you just got. If you receive this child in my name, you don't just receive the child, you receive me. And guess what? If you receive me, you don't just receive me, you receive God. Now we have the opposite. We want to go straight for Jesus. I'm going to straight receive Jesus. Children and adults get in the way of me receiving Jesus. I come to church for the Lord and I put up with the rest of y'all. Right? I'm here for God. Right? But what Jesus is saying is it doesn't work like that at all. If you want to receive Jesus, you have to receive this child. If you don't receive the child, you don't end up receiving Jesus. So what does he do? He puts this invisible child and he makes what is the outside, the marginalized, the silent, the small, the invisible, he makes it the center. And in focusing on the child, you then get more than just the child. You get Jesus. This is a powerful statement. But I really want us to focus on what it means to receive a child. What it means to accept a child. Adulthood is one massive system of lies. It is. When you become adult, you are entering one massive web of deception and lies. A charade we call politeness. You know this is true. You know that one of the things about children is not that they are innocent. Because some kids just aren't really innocent. They're bad, some kids. They lie. Sometimes they say mean things. But children are straight out honest. Yep. They say things that are uncomfortable. They say dangerous things that quite honestly are dangerous because they are the truth. And you know when you are in a room full of adults, you play along the charade of adulthood, whereby you think things and you say something else, whereby everybody in the room knows something, but you don't say it. Right? But let one child, just one, come in there, and there they say the very thing that everyone is thinking and they couldn't say. It smells in here. That person has a big nose. They expose. Children aren't naive and dumb. That's not what makes them dangerous, and that's not what makes them hard to accept. What makes them hard to accept is that they are brutally honest. Yeah. And that they will disrupt and break this fragile web we call adulthood. And sometimes it gets worse when children are more brutally honest about our behaviors. You go to church, or you go to the job, or you go to a park, and you meet up with a friend that at home you said, I cannot stand this person. I hope to God it never happens.